Still on politics, diverse reactions have continued to trail the endorsement of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for re-election in 2027 by Osun State Governor Ademola Adeleke and leaders of the People's Democratic Party (PDP) in the state. The endorsement was made public on Tuesday following a stakeholders meeting held at the government house in Osogbo. Governor Adeleke had reportedly been in talks with political leaders about possibly leaving the PDP, a move that party stakeholders in Osun are said to have consented to, pledging to follow him to any party of his choosing. Now joining us to make sense of these political implications is political affairs analyst Gigi Ojo. Thank you very much for joining us now. A lot of controversy surrounds Governor Adeleke and the Osun PDP's endorsement of President Tinubu, especially as the Osun APC disclosed denying Adeleke entry to their party, describing Adeleke as a political liability. How do you interpret this development?
Well, thank you, Victoria. I think it's just act of political strategy on the part of Governor Ademola Adeleke. It's very unfortunate. The initial information in the public domain was that he was being cajoled and being pressured to join APC, but that seems to be not the true position, because if he were to be cajoled, he would have defected, but it was obvious that he was not wanted in APC. And so the only thing he could use to cajole the president is to promise to work for him in 2027. Now, let's look at the sequence of events. Ademola Adeleke's re-election bid comes up sometimes next year in 2026. President Bola Tinubu's re-election bid comes up in 2027. So, if Adeleke does not get re-elected in 2026, there's no way he can work for president in 2027. So, you can see that it's a kind of quid pro quo, but it doesn't really work. I think the president will not see the endorsement for anything much beyond the fact that, okay, if he wins the election, and that's the condition, the big if he wins the election in 2026, he will then work for the president's re-election in 2027. But I think his negotiation skill is not strengthened by the fact that the PDP that he is a leader of is losing members in droves. As you read in that, your first news, 2 senators from Osun State have defected today to APC. In the House of Reps, 1 or 2 others have also defected from PDP to APC. So it's like the PDP in Osun is no longer cohesive, it's no longer united. And before today, we have seen Honorable Lushola Oke, who had won election like 4 or 5 times into the House of Reps, leaving PDP for APC. So the House of PDP in Osun is leaking. The governor wants to bail out, but he's being pushed back by the APC people in Osun. As you said, they considered him to be a political liability and not an asset.
All right, now, sir, the PDP leadership in Osun State has insisted they will present Adeleke as their governorship candidate for the 2026 election. In light of this, what are the implications for the party in the state?
Well, the implication is not so glorious, because, as I said, prior to the current situation, PDP held sway in Osun in the last 2 years, winning 24 out of the 25 State House of Assembly seats in Osun, with only 1 seat won by APC. But the dynamics is changing and changing very fast. So it is now the governor who needs the APC government at the center and not the other way around. And yes, he has the resources. He's an incumbent governor. His family is rich, so he can, and nobody can drag the ticket of PDP with him. But in the last 2 weeks, when there was speculation that he was going to move to APC, there were already protests on the street of Osun, particularly Osogbo, that in the event that he comes to APC, it will not be an automatic ticket for him. He will have to contest with other members of the APC. And I think he didn't like that, because there is no guarantee that if he contests in an open and credible party primaries in APC, that he was going to get the APC ticket. And it will be very humiliating for him to go into a party where he's not sure of clinching the ticket for the election. That's why he now came up with that statement yesterday, that he was going to contest under PDP and then work for the president in 2027. May I remind you that was the strategy used by Governor Seyi Makinde in Oyo State in the 2023. If you recall, the national elections took place before the state election. So Seyi Makinde worked for President Bola Tinubu in the first round of election. President Bola Tinubu won the 33 local government in Oyo State. And 2 weeks after, he won his own re-election. But this time around, the dynamics is not the same. The Adeleke's re-election under PDP will come in 2026. So what he's trying to do is to kind of dangle a carrot before President Tinubu to say, if you do support me in 2026 to win my re-election, I will support you in 2027 to win your re-election. But the president doesn't need Ademola Adeleke to win his re-election. As I've given you the statistics, the Osun PDP is no longer united, and many of their elected representatives are already bailing out and moving into APC. So by 2026, Ademola Adeleke may find himself just running in an empty stadium without spectators, without people to cheer him. And what that portends for him is that he may lose he may lose the election in 2026, and just the same way he defeated an incumbent in 2022 when he defeated the Governor Gboyega Oyetola to win his election. So that is the dynamics that is playing out in Osun right now.
All right, thank you very much, political affairs analyst Jide Ojo. We'll watch as events unfold. Thank you very much for sharing your insights on the news.